every villain needs a good army to accompany them. However, the effectiveness can range from being very ineffective to one of the most powerful armies in the history of the land. And in Ninjago, there have been a lot of armies that have given the ninja a tough challenge, and along with their sheer effectiveness, I will also be taking into consideration the army's personality, if they have any, and backstory to accompany this decision of me ranking every single one of the villain's armies. Now, just before I start, I will not include the keepers in this video, because even though they are an army, they technically aren't a villain army, and I'm only doing villain armies in this video since the keepers are not villains. But with that out of the way, let's get started. The Reawakened Warriors, also known as the Awakened Warriors, this army consists of black skeleton that are controlled by the Skull of Hasador, and when they are taken down, the Skull of Hasador can just reform them back together. The reason why I put them in the last position is because I personally believe they don't serve too much of a challenge to the ninja, plus there is no backstory or personality to these warriors. They're just kind of there for the sake of being there, and besides, they ripped off two way better armies in the form of the Vermilion Warriors' regenerative ability and the Skulkin. At least the Skulkin were effective in their time. The Red Visors. The Red Visors consist of robotic-looking figures wearing red helmets, and they are the main servants, I guess, of Unagami. The reason why I put them in the second to last position is because while I do believe they are more effective than the Reawakened Warriors, they also don't have a personality or backstory to accompany them, which makes them not as memorable as an army as, say, some of the other ones I placed in this list. The Vermilion Warriors. The Vermilion Warriors are remnants of the Great Devourer, but unlike the Great Devourer, they consist of red and orange looking snakes, hence their name. They also have a very unique ability in that when they are taken down, they can regenerate, which makes them a lot harder to beat. And while this army does have a unique backstory, they don't really have personality and are somewhat effective. But because of this, that's why they are ranked so low on this list. The Pyro Vipers. Yet another snake army. The Pyro Vipers consist of a bunch of dead snakes rising back from the grave, but with the added difference of them being on fire. The Pyro Vipers lack personality, unless you count a sphere as annoyingness and charge trying to be funny. And while they do have while they are somewhat effective, they don't really have a backstory to accompany this, or at least they don't seem to, because Sphero does have a backstory, but it's hard to tell if any of the other Pyro Vipers have the same backstory, and hence their position on this list. Blizzard Samurai are actually people, but because of the Ice Emperor's corruption, have been made into ice, and are led by General Vex. This army, while it didn't provide a lot of screen time, has showcased how effective they are, but they do lack personality, but they also have a unique backstory. But because of that lack of personality within a lot of the members of the army, that's why they are at the position they are on this list. guards are basically Kalamar's henchmen, and while they are pretty effective in battle, they lack a personality and a good backstory to accompany that. Some have even theorized that the Moray guards are actually more snakes because they would have the resemblance to eels, which are also known as the water snake. You might be shocked that I put a very well-known army down at number 10, but hear me out. They have the same issues that I have in the previous armies I mentioned. They don't really have a distinct backstory, nor do a lot of the members have personalities, only like a select few actually do. But they are actually pretty effective in battle and gave the ninja quite a rough challenge, especially towards the end of the Second Serpentine War. The Oni, even if they were beaten rather quickly, are incredibly effective in battle, basically resembling this incredibly dominant force that they were supposed to be, until the finale episode of March Yoni kind of screwed that up. But they also do not have a backstory nor a personality, the main criticism of the army. But I do believe their effectiveness and how effective they are in battle, especially in the final battle against the ninja in episode 98, secured their position on this list at number 9. The Sons of Garmadon, also known as the SOG. This army actually gave the ninja a run for their money, and totally not because the story allowed them to. We'll just pretend they actually got what they deserved, because they totally did. Some of the members do have some distinct personalities, such as Ultraviolet, Kilo, and the most popular member of the SOG, other than Harumi, Mr. E. However, there isn't really a backstory for a lot of them, especially for Mr. E, who was originally supposed to be Echo Zane, but was later scrapped due to the fact that newer fans do not know the events of Skybound, or who Echo Zane really was, which I believe is a very stupid reason, which basically says that new Ninjago fans don't watch the older seasons, which some of them do. Anyways, the SOG I really feel only won because of the story nerfing the ninja and making them an actually worthy challenge, because, let's be honest here, they're just a biker gang, nothing more. But they were pretty effective nonetheless. The Skulkin, the first Ninjago army. This army provided a pretty good challenge for the ninja in their beginning days, when they were just beginning to work as a unit, and while they weren't nearly as powerful as they are today. While obviously they are very weak nowadays, back then they were the most powerful threat to Ninjago, and for that reason they are incredibly innovative for their time, hence their high position on the list. They also have some distinct backstory if you watch the 2011 mini-movies, and while they do lack some personality for a lot of the members, like I said before, they were innovative for their time. The Nindroids, powered by Zane's own code. The Nindroids are basically better versions, in a way, of Zane's original code, and have proven to be a very effective unit, especially in Season 3 Rebooted, where they gave Ninja an incredibly tough time to figure out, especially with the fact that they are incredibly resilient and found other ways to power themselves, even if through unnatural means. The Nindroids kinda do have the same problem, though, as some of the other armies mentioned. Only a select few of the members have personalities instead of basically all of them. Faith even joined up with them on their side. Even then, they were still much of a threat. They do have a lot of personality, especially when it comes to people like Jet Jack, Daddy No Legs, Muzzle, and Chew Toy, and including Iron Bear, the leader himself. And also, the backstory is actually pretty terrifying. Basically, they were used by Iron Bear just to spread lies and fear among them, just for his own wishes, which is pretty messed up if you ask me. And for those reasons, they rank it at number 5 on the list. The Stone Army. The Stone Army has a much more unique backstory than possibly any other army I've mentioned in this video so far. They were created by the Overlord to stop the first Spinjitzu Master, and if they can nearly stop the first Spinjitzu Master and give him a rough time, oh boy, did they give the ninja a run for their money, and potentially be one of the few armies to have ever given the ninja possibly a big fat L. They are very effective in battle, but they do lack personality with a lot of the members. But they do speak a language, a very unique language that the ninja cannot understand, and sometimes even was made fun of later by the ninja when they were quote-unquote recruited as workers by the Stone Warriors in an attempt to get closer to Garbanot and his helmet. So, even they can be fooled. The Ghost Army. The Ghost Army is particularly tricky because of the fact that they can't be defeated by normal means. They have to be taken out by water and not just by sheer hits and blows. That makes them an incredibly effective but also incredibly difficult challenge, especially for a ninja who have to rely on water even when none of the elements, well, except for 2, which are fire and ice, can make water. They also have a pretty unique personalities for some of them, including Bancha, Wraith, Soul Archer, and Guntar, especially with Guntar being the goof that he is. They don't really have that much of a backstory, however, or at least they don't appear to. But they do have some information on where they actually come from, and that's from their home realm, the Preeminent, which is the Cursed Realm entirely, as they are just remnants of the Cursed Realm, and those who are stuck there in damnation for all eternity. The Sky Pirates, a very popular army within the fandom, and I can absolutely see why. They actually achieved that only one other army could do, give a lot of the other members personalities. Each individual member of the Sky Pirates actually has a unique personality, even if some are more likable than others. They have some unique backstories. If you watch the Tall Tales of Misfortune's Keep Short, you know where they actually come from. And they are very effective in battle, especially if you're fighting someone like Doubloon, who can actually use Spinjitzu, Flintlock, who actually can use guns to shoot you. Dogshin, with her massive size, could squash you like a pancake. And of course, there's Nauticon, who is arguably one of the most overpowered characters in the entire show, with his ability to just poof around, and his sword skills are no pushover either. This army is definitely a force to be reckoned with, and nearly gave the ninja their first loss in the entire series. The Serpentine. Yes, the Serpentine, the original snake army, despite how many snakes have been used since then, is still my favorite army on this video. Why? Because they check off all the boxes that I mentioned earlier in the video. they are incredibly effective in battle, especially in Season 1. They all have unique personalities, especially when it comes to humor, such as when Lizaru, I think his name is Lizaru, said, "Look, I'm a stiff" in Season 2. And they actually have a very unique backstory for each and every tribe. And that's why I placed them at number 1 on today's video.